In Search of Knowledge, Past, Present, and Future is a series of unique programs that are designed to show our history as a living history rather than just a list of names and facts about people in the past. It is a Black history lesson, a vocational tool to interest people in various occupations, and a mini museum containing books, artifacts, and photos of notable Blacks, bringing an original art exhibit directly to the classroom. Welcome to In Search of Knowledge. This is a two-part special that I did with Caroline Merle. This is part two, and as part of that, her daughter Carol wanted to include some additional facts about her mother. So Carol is going to share some artifacts and information so that you can learn even a little more about Miss Caroline.
Well, I'm very happy that I've had a chance to sort of share something that I've learned about my mother. One thing is that my parents were married almost 60 years. My father died in June, and they would have been 60 years married in September. I think that one of the things, I guess two things that I've learned from my mother. One is that unconditional love. When you find out that you were wished for and prayed for 8 years before you came into existence, and the joy that you brought to the family, that gives you a certain security in your whole life of being loved. And I was, as my mother said, she was blessed to have both a daughter and a son. And my brother, who doesn't live in the area, he's in Abilene, Texas, since he was in college. But he always lets my mother know how important she has been to him. And he wrote a nice little letter back in '91 on her birthday to let her know how important she was, and that the qualities that she showed him growing up were qualities that he tried to look for in his future wife. And after quite a while, he was finally blessed with a daughter, Jason. And so he sort of feels that that strength of his mom has been passed on through him to his daughter, and that's just something that he's very proud of. And as we talked about at my parents' 50th anniversary, not too many people can sort of say nowadays that they've had the same parents together all of their lives, and that's something, I think that's a testament to our family and values. The other part has to do with family, and our family is very close, and we've learned a lot about family members. For example, when Alex Haley came out with Roots, and I decided to try to get information about our family, it was my grandmother, Bertha Bessex, who gave me a lot of that information. In fact, she and my grandfather were married 62 years. So the idea of longevity in a marriage is something that's quite prevalent in our family. And it was my grandmother who taught me so much about our family history. She was close to her grandmother, who was Caroline Strother, one of the founders of our church. And so my grandmother learned from her grandmother, and then she taught me. And because of that, I was able to put together this family booklet that sort of told of our history from Charlottesville, Virginia on up. And just most recently, I found some pictures. I really didn't know that my great-grandmother, who was Mary, who my mother is named after, I had, there was actually a picture of Caroline Strother's 3 of her girls. And I figured out that since they lived on a farm in Charlottesville, this had to be taken somewhere in Charlottesville before Mary moved up to the Ardmore, Haverford area to seek an employment. So she came to the Ardmore area sometime around 1888. So that she came up and then realized she could get a job working in the homes of professors at Bryn Mawr College and Haverford College, but she needed some help with her children. So when my great-great-grandfather, Jeremiah Strother, passed away, that's when my grandmother, Caroline, sold the farm and moved up to Ardmore to take care of her grandchildren. And it was...
Her grandchildren being you?
No. Her grandchildren being my grandmother.
Okay.
And that's part of the whole process of them coming up here, deciding that they needed to be in a church. The whites and blacks collecting money. My grandmother, Bertha, remembers when she was maybe 5 years old, going around collecting pennies so that they could build a church. And
an integrated church?
Well, yes. There was blacks and whites raising money. And when they were finally able to build the first Baptist church of Ardmore, when it came time to have the service, the whites basically sort of said that the blacks had to sit in the balcony, all in the back. And my great-grandmother Caroline, along with the other ones, were like, no, this is not going to go. And that's why they started having prayer services in her parlor. And my grandmother remembers peeping down the steps when they would have prayer meetings in that house. And that was the formation of Zion Baptist Church, which then was formally founded in 1894. My mother has been a fixture at Zion Baptist Church of Ardmore all of her life. And recently, going through her old papers and photographs, I actually found her cradle roll certificate in a frame. And it has, for Caroline Merrill, enrolled in the cradle roll at Zion Baptist Church, has the name of the minister there. And this was in 1917. So she was about 3 years old. So we actually presented it to the church. And then I later on found a picture of her around 3 years old. So I'm going to also give that to the church. But to think that her whole life has been so intertwined in Zion Baptist Church of Ardmore, the church of her great-grandmother and everyone else in the family. Been around for quite a long time. We haven't had a lot of family reunions like some families, but this is a picture of our family reunion in Ardmore in June of 1945. And you can see it's quite a large family. And actually I wasn't born at this time, but the youngest was my cousin Peggy, and she was sitting in, or being held in the arms of our oldest, which was our cousin Clancy. And cousin Catherine. And so this is a very special photograph within the family because we see so many generations here that were still in the same area. And at that time, everybody knew each other. And so just each generation, people tend to get further and further apart. This was held actually in Ardmore at my grandparents. I think it was...
That was down at Uncle Ernest's.
Oh, okay. So this was held in my grandmother's brother backyard in Ardmore, Uncle Ernest.
Lewis.
Ernest Lewis. He's the one, we have always story when they were moving up from Charlottesville to Ardmore and crossing over the Susquehanna River on the train, and his hat blew off into the river, and he was trying to grab his hat, and his grandmother hadn't grabbed him, he would have fallen over. So that's always been a funny story in the family.
Wish I could be me.
When when my mother was approaching her 100th birthday, it was a big deal in our family and in the community. And so many people, we had the party, we had it at the senior center where she exercises twice a week. And there were over 125 people that came through to wish her happy birthday. So she received a letter from the president, her president, Barack Obama. And the church also honored her with a nice birthday party on that Sunday and presented her with a plaque. She's the oldest member in Zion, so she's like sort of the mother of the church now. And since she's been in Lower Marion all of her life, Lower Marion Township presented her with a citation for her 100 years.
Miss Caroline, how did you feel about getting the citations from President Obama?
Well, I tell you the truth, it's always an exciting moment to open up a letter and see the president. It was wonderful. I was really excited. Because there's not too many people now left to receive anything from a president.
Okay.
So I was very happy and I was very excited. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Miss Carolyn, you not only had your high school diploma, you had your yearbook.
Yes.
And here is, and they described you as dreamy-eyed Carolyn proceeds through the school day with a dignified grace, which is all too rare in these times of getting somewhere. Her unruffled air of serenity builds around her a wall of reserve, which is penetrated by very few people. Caroline seems to have plenty of time for lessons, for she always does her work conscientiously. She never has an unprepared lesson to spoil her commendable record.
Yep.
Were you an honor student?
Not really an honor student. I just did what I was supposed to do.
Okay.
Get those lessons done.
Okay. And I wanted to ask you about this one picture.
Oh, that's Mom.
That's your mother?
That's Mom at 18. She said she had on a lavender hat, and the suit was lavender like the little boy up there. She was 18.
Okay. It's an amazing photo.
Yes, that is Mom.
Okay. So, Carol, I wanted you to answer this question. What was the best thing your mother did for you?
That's a hard question. I guess the one thing is that she and my father had perseverance to make sure that I'm here.
Okay.
So from the time they got married, it was 8 years before I was conceived. So I'm glad that they didn't give up. That my father wasn't the kind of man that said, well, we just can't have children. They went into Philadelphia, South Philadelphia, to a doctor to help them.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I know that a lot of people know me for my smile, that I smile a lot. I get that from my mother.
Okay.
I've learned that the importance of faith. So I grew up in the same church that she grew up in. And I guess not being afraid. So my mother doesn't shy away from a challenge. There are people in my family who don't want to get on an airplane. My mother got on an airplane, her actual patient paid for her first flight back in 1967 so she could come out to Eastern Michigan to see me because I had made the dean's list.
Okay.
And that was why she got on the plane her first time. And now she's been on it, she loves getting on the plane now.
I'll never forget that morning. It was raining. It was pouring down. Got to the airport. That time you walked out on the tarmac.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to go under cover like now. It was pouring. So I had a magazine. I was down looking in there and trying to keep an eye on the sky. By and by, the sun came out. I said, thank you, Jesus. Went on there to Michigan.
So, Miss Caroline, what's the best thing that your daughter has ever done for you? What's the best thing your daughter has ever done for you?
Oh my goodness, so many things. Ah, what is the best thing? She's always buying me a piece of jewelry or something. That's one thing that she always does. And always sees that my nails are done. She's a good daughter, that's all I can say.
Okay.
A good daughter.
Well, Miss Carolyn, we're going to end part one of our discussion, and we're going to come back and go to do the discussion about your health tips. Well together. So, Miss Caroline, this part of the interview, we're going to talk about your tips of healthy living, because you're 101, possibly 102 by the time this is seen.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 14 tips that your daughter Carol gave me, and I want to go over them. Number one was fresh air daily. Why is that so important?
Why stay in a house where things get cold and stagnant? Get out and get the fresh air. Just get the fresh air and inhale. Inhale some of that.
So how do you get your fresh air?
Now, or when I was younger.
Now.
Now, I just go out in the back,
Okay.
in the back of this building, and I'll stand there sometime and inhale it.
In all kinds of weather.
Yes.
Okay.
Just to get a little bit of fresh air.
Okay. And this one goes on to what you were just saying. Tip number 2, walking every day.
Oh, you got to do that.
Why?
You got to keep exercising, because after a while your legs will get stiff, your whole body will get stiff. You got to move, got to move.
Got to move. Okay. Tip number 3, exercising with a group.
Mm.
Why is that important?
Well, as I said, you have to get up and move. These bones will just dry up, and
But why with a group? Why is doing it with a group important?
I think it's easier for you to do with the group than by yourself. But there are times I have done it with some music on.
Okay.
I stand and do some exercise, kick out the legs.
So where do
I believe in it.
So what group do you exercise with?
It's well, how would I say that, Carol? We started down the street. What is that place called?
The Palm.
The Palm.
Okay.
Center.
And all the people who want to, because everybody don't want to exercise.
Well, Miss Caroline, I try to do that myself because after I read the book about the Delaney sisters, the one thing they said about having a good, healthy life was they exercise every morning.
You'd have to do. I couldn't get my sister to do exercise. Shoot. I said, what's so hard about exercising? Get up and move yourself. Your arms, we exercise from the head all the way down to the feet.
Okay.
We do that twice a week.
Okay.
And I believe in it because as much as I like to be traveling, I want to be in pretty good health so I can move.
Okay. So could you show me one exercise that I could do with you?
Well, we do work our
With
legs
our
like
legs?
this.
Okay.
Our legs like this, and let's see what else do we do. And our arms.
Just
yeah,
out? Okay.
in and out and out. And up and down. And up and down.
Okay.
We do those kind of exercises.
Okay.
And there are some we turn over on the side like that. And over on this side like this.
Okay.
We do that.
Well, we just did an exercise video.
Right?
Okay. Tip number 4 was fresh fruits and vegetables.
Yes. You really need to have, I think it's much better to have the fresh than canned.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to go, down the street there a little bit. We'd have trips to the orchards, like there's the apple orchard we would go to, and the peach. I love the peach. Get them off the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of putting it in the basket, you're supposed to eat one and put one in. Eat one. Oh, they were the best peaches. And I don't know just where that orchard is. I really don't know. But that was one of the trips we had.
Okay. Well, did you ever have a garden?
My father had one.
Did you work in it?
No. I just didn't like in there.
You didn't want that dirt under your nails.
I didn't want to see any worms down there. No.
Okay.
So, I guess.
Oh, I'm lost count. Okay. Tip number 5, cook as much from scratch as possible.
That's what I did.
Why?
I don't do as much now. When I had the family, it was different.
Okay.
But because I think the fresh fruits, vegetables are the best. They have all the nutrients out of there in there. And
So what was one of your favorite meals to cook?
lamb chops, baked potato, and salad.
Okay.
Those were my best. Yeah, and now I like chicken wings.
Oh.
Yeah, I like chicken wings.
Do you
with
fry
my
them or do you bake them? Are they fried or baked?
No, they're fried.
Oh, I have to have my fried chicken wings. I'm sorry.
Fried chicken.
No,
Fried chicken wings, nothing like
nothing like fried chicken wings, Miss
I'm
Brown.
telling you.
Nothing like it.
All right.
Tip number 6, do what the doctor says.
Amen.
Why is that so important?
Why? Because the doctors have been to college and they know your body.
Okay.
But so many particular men, I'm not too sure about the women, but they think they know. They know what. One young fellow, I'd known him all his life. He had diabetes and his leg was bandaged up. I said, are you one of those that think you know it all, Ray? No, ma'am. I said, well then how come you're wrapped up and I'm not? I said, because I do what the doctors tell me.
So when were you diagnosed with diabetes?
I guess it's been probably about maybe 6 years ago, I guess.
Mother, weren't you were in your 60s when you got diabetes?
Was I?
Yes.
So what do you do that the doctor tells you to do with your diabetes?
Well, I suppose the first place you're supposed to eat right and eat your 3 meals and a snack at night.
Okay.
Your 3 meals in a day
Okay.
and a snack at night. That's the most important. That's what they told me and that's what I do.
Okay. And you've had no problems with the diabetes?
No.
Wonderful.
No, this young man laying up there in the hospital with his leg all wrapped. I said, Ray, what on earth did you do now? He said, well, I guess I thought I knew it all. I said, and you found out you didn't, huh? So I don't know how he's doing. I haven't seen Ray for a while. Have you, Carol?
He's doing better.
Huh?
He's doing better.
That's good.
So
How would you know what to do with the diabetes if you didn't study about it? I mean,
and because you were a nurse.
I guess so, but common sense told me.
So you didn't even need the nursing degree to know about doing what you were supposed to do.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. That's what I believed in.
All right. Well, that takes care of step number 7, which was take care of what you need to do to control diabetes.
Yes, ma'am.
So now we're into number 8, and this is an important one for our audience to know. Don't give in to minor aches and pain.
Oh, Lord.
Work through them. Don't sit around.
Amen to that.
Why is that so critical?
Why? You just gotta keep moving.
Okay.
You gotta keep moving. Why would you want to sit down and then complain on, oh, this hurts, those, because you're not using them.
Okay.
You gotta do what the doctor says. They know more than you know and more than I know. So I follow what doctors. My diabetic doctor, she said, Miss Merrill, you're doing great. She always tells me that.
Well, it sounds like you're an inspiration to a lot of people. If you're doing it at 100.
Yeah.
So when you decide to do something, do you check with your doctor first to make sure it's okay?
No, I don't. I just follow what they tell me when I go to visit.
Okay, so if you're getting ready to go on an airplane trip.
No, I didn't go to no doctors.
Okay.
All
right.
Cause my first airplane when the Carol was at Eastern Michigan.
Okay.
And I'll never forget that morning I got on the plane. It was pouring.
Okay.
Pouring. I looked up and I said, Lord have mercy. So I had a magazine in my lap. Then the sun came out. I said, well, thank you, Jesus. The sun came out. We made it to Eastern Michigan.
And you didn't let weather or aches and pains stop you from what you were going to do.
No.
Step number 9 was laugh as much as you can.
Oh, my word. And I guess I overlaugh sometimes. Yes, got to laugh.
What's your favorite?
It's something about laughing that.
But you know
to
that
each his own.
Right. You enjoy music?
Yes.
What's your favorite hymn?
Oh, now see that joke ran out of my mind. Lord, keep me near the cross.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been singing since you were 10 years old in the
Yes.
choir.
Yes. They didn't have any altos. The senior choir at that time didn't have any altos. And so the director said, come on, sing with us. I'm 10.
Okay. Step number 11. Step 10 was music. Step 11 is drink water.
Plenty of water. Gotta wash yourself out.
Okay.
That's Carol.
Now this one is hard for me. Number 12. Enjoy your sweets in moderation.
Yes, don't sit up there and just eat. People can give me a box of candy and it'll probably last me 2 weeks. Because I don't want to keep on eating.
Okay.
The taste will get out of my system.
Okay.
So once in a while, I like to eat a little chocolate.
Okay. So you do have your sweets.
Yeah.
Step number 13 was keep in touch with family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that?
Call on the phone, call up and see how they're doing.
Okay.
And that's about the best thing I know.
Okay.
I just talked to a cousin before you all came. Yeah, he lives in Philadelphia, one of those geriatric homes, I guess that's what you call it.
Okay.
But we're the two that keep in touch
Okay.
all the time. Not even his sister, but their older sister, my sister that's just a little older than me. We three were just like that, 3 pots in a 3
Peas in the
peas
pie.
in a pod. That's the way we grew up.
Okay. And step number 14, tip number 14, take a chance on adventures. Now, you talked about going to school as a nurse, that was an adventure.
Oh my Lord, I'll never forget that one.
Well, what other adventures have you had in your life?
I think that's the main one when I went down there and those little boys surrounded me.
Okay.
I'll never forget that. But I bet you they scattered when I got that big purse I had. I'll knock every last one of you down. I said, scared? I'm scared to death.
Okay.
I didn't show it though. I put on a monkey suit. And I knew they scattered then.
Okay.
But that's my worst experience that I can remember.
Okay.
There's nothing like traveling. I love to travel, I tell you.
Well, Miss Caroline, I am so happy you agreed to let me come and talk to you. And I just want to thank you for being on In Search of Knowledge.
All right. That's me. Yes, well, I'm glad that you two came.
Okay.
I'm very happy.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If we can gather to march 1 million strong, then why can't we gather in small groups to resolve one small problem in our own lives? If we can spend millions of dollars on anything and everything, then why can't we put money aside as individuals or a group to accomplish one small financial goal? If we can put aside our differences and speak to each other without anger or calling each other out of our names, and give love and respect to each other for a few hours while marching, then why can't we come together for a week to work on solving one small problem? When we recognize that we have to begin the most important undertaking in our history of saving ourselves, our children, and our communities, that in order to survive in the 21st century, we have to focus our time and energy on loving ourselves for ourselves, then we are marching more than 1 million strong.